Hello and welcome everybody. And I'm waiting for everybody to join in so that I can start. And today we are going to be looking at the aspect of film distribution, which is the most important aspect in film production because we make films so that we can distribute them, make a return on revenue, build up on our brands, and all that. Pacific and Bianca, I can see you in the studio. So there's a chat box there's a private chat box. So if you want to say anything, you can put it on the private chat box. Also, you can put on your video at some point because I can see you, but you're not on the screen. So you can put on your video so that we are able to know whether you want to ask a question. I can also bring you on screen to be able to ask a question. Okay. Maybe if you've joined us, please write your name on the Facebook so that we can start. So if you've joined us, please write your name on the comment section so that we can start. And I'm also notifying the other students that we've started so that they can join in as well. So if you're joining us, please tell us your name so that we know who's attending the class on the comment section. Esther, thank you. At least I know that you guys can hear me now. Yeah, so just let us know that you're here. I hope you've all had a good week. I'm really excited to teach you guys about film distribution. And I'm hoping this will help the production team to also be able to, contribute creatively into the process. We've had a lot of questions coming from the production team about the rights of the writers, those kind of rights that everybody needs to have so that they're able to do this production. So I can see you, Esther. Thank you for joining in. I can see you, Russ Michael. I can see you, Yomi. I can see you, Elias. I don't know who's the other person because the name is not showing. Yeah, thank you. And I also have Pacific here. So yeah, and Bianca. So I think we can sort of start. So let me just remove the screen for a while and just tell you guys about my thoughts on film distribution. And then the rest will catch up with us when they join in so that we don't end up wasting time. So for those also who are tuning in through our YouTube channel, please also feel free to write your comments, to ask your questions as well, because I thought that we can extend this class also to some other people. Many young African filmmakers are in need of knowing the entire filmmaking process, including the distribution process, which is very, very important. Remember, as I've said many times, film is a business. And once everybody learns how to treat film as a business, we are going to make a lot of progress in the African film industry. And I've come to understand that it's very difficult for a young filmmaker to start understanding in the first place what is film distribution. Is film distribution the same as the job of a film producer, or is it the same as the job of a film exhibitor? For instance, the theater owners, the Netflix and other channels that we have. So are those distribution companies or are those exhibitors? So these are some of the things we're going to be looking at in the presentation today so that we understand what this entails. And distribution is an expensive process. Again, it comes to the matter of affecting the budget that we are making for the feature film. Again, the other fact that I wanted to lay bare is that, and I hope you can hear me clearly. So the other fact that I wanted to talk about is the fact that, just give me a minute, I need to do something on this so that it looks better. Sorry, guys. I think today I don't have enough light, but I hope you can see me clearly. Yeah, so I was talking about distribution and I was trying to give you my own view of distribution. In my view, the African film industry has failed so much to invest in film distribution. Again, the African film industry is made up of, independent producers, which therefore creates a very big need for some people to specialize in film distribution in order to make the whole process complete. The reason why you see we don't have a lot of good reports when it comes to money making in the continent is because we don't also invest in film distribution. So, as we are talking, I want us to all realize, as YFP Africa family, first of all, we are making a feature film, and this feature film is an independent feature film. And the success of this film, no matter how great it is, will first of all be rated on how many eyeballs actually watch this movie. That's the first thing. So the numbers count. When it comes to distribution, the eyeballs, they count a lot. And then the other thing is also we are going to be rated about how much money did we spend to make the production and how much money did we make after the production. That's going to be our CV after we finish this movie, and will determine moving forward whether if we want to do another feature film, people are going to come in and actually want to be associated with our film. So this is something very, very key, and is something I want all my students to pay very keen attention. And as I've always said to you, film is serious business. Remember, there are some two kinds of filmmakers we have in the world. There are filmmakers who are hobby filmmakers, and there are filmmakers who are full-time filmmakers. So film is serious business because if you're a full-time filmmaker, you have to make money from what you're doing, and so you have to start thinking about everything that you're doing, be it a short film, be it a feature film. You need to start thinking about it as a business. Now, let me give you a quick little story of my story and how I came to understand the flows of the African film industry, and further got motivated to continue working like with YFP Africa because of this. So as I've said many times, the first time I got a realization what film industry really is when I went to Cannes Film Festival in 2013. And I was telling Bianca, and we were laughing about it another time. When I went to the Cannes Film Festival 2013, I saw filmmakers really making good money out of their films. I saw the biggest film market in the world where guys were making business. But I could not understand how comes these guys have even booked appointments. Guys are always in meetings. And me, I'm just there strolling around, not knowing what's going on because I'm not exposed. Our film schools are failing at training our students to be business savvy. And if you're not business savvy, I'm sorry to say, right now we have protests in Namibia, we have protests in everywhere. People listen to guys who can be able to put a business together and make, big impact with their work. Yes, I know most of us are in this because we are passionate about it. That's good. But making money adds some spices to it. Making money will add some spice to your career in film distribution. And that's what I want us to focus on today and try to see what is film distribution. Because you make a film, but if you don't sell the film and the film is not watched by people, by the way, I want you to write this down in your notebook. A movie is something that you've shot and it's screened in front of a live audience. So if you shoot and keep it in your shelf, that's not a movie. A movie is a complete cycle up to distribution. And so if you keep it in your shelf, no film festivals, no eyeballs, you don't put it on YouTube or anywhere else, Netflix, Amazon, all these online platforms, then it means in context that you've not actually made a film. So film is serious business, and we need to take it as that. Otherwise, we are going to end up not being very encouraged to make a film moving forward. And one of the things I also want to add to this point that I'm talking about right now is the fact that when you're saying film is serious business, you find a lot of jobless youths in Africa. It's because you're the one, as a filmmaker, supposed to be creating these jobs for them, supposed to be doing all this, but you don't have the knowledge that you need to have in order to put those distributions across and in order to reach so many people with your film so that you can create more opportunities for other people who will come after you. So with that said, now I want to get into the first area where we're going to talk about film distribution, what it is. And I found this presentation done by one of the filmmakers, really nice. And I'm going to show you a couple of presentations so that you're able to understand what entails, what the film distribution industry entails. And so I'm going to, go, straight into it. And you can see in the presentation, it says how the distribution of a film actually works. So you need to understand a few things. And what I like about this presentation, it's because this presentation is very simple. It has very few words, and therefore you can be able to keep it in your mind and remember what I was talking to you about. So how does the filmmaking process start? It starts with one person having an initial idea for a possible film. Same thing we did in our class. We had pitching, and then we had people bringing out ideas, and then we picked the best idea for the film. So we had an idea for a film. But from the word go, when we were making the feature film, we knew that we want to make a feature film that will go into the film industry business. So the film process starts with one person having an initial idea for the film. Okay, but you can see that person is surrounded by many people because film is a teamwork game. So that person then creates a synopsis in order to intrigue people in the idea. So that person who comes up with the idea has to pitch it so that then other people can come on board so that they can work with the people. So they create a synopsis, they create a great story idea, and they convince the rest of the crew that yes, this is a great idea, let's work on it. Remember, film is nothing if you're not as convincing as you should be. You should be able to convince people to work with you in your film. So if your film is not as inspiring, you're not going to be able to attract people to work with you. That goes to say that, like, for our film, when you go to talk to anybody, even a financier, the first thing they ask you, what's the story? They want to see whether your story goes around with the things they do. When you go to a distributor, they'll ask you what is, the genre of your film. Some people just distribute drama, some people distribute crime, some people distribute different kinds of genres. So people will want to know and rally around you based on how well you believe in your story and how cool your story is. So that's the second thing. So the third thing is the rights to the film are then purchased by a film studio or an independent investor. So, for instance, if you look at our film that we are making, that is Msitu, it was pitched by Roger. So, in the professional world, we'll then go to Roger, then we'll purchase the rights to the story, then we'll develop it with our screenwriters, and whether it's an independent investor means like you're an independent producer who's interested in that story, or you wrote the story yourself, so you don't need to pay that. But a film studio is an organized company that specializes in distribution of films and will pick your film. They pick film scripts from independent film producers. So that's number 3. So somebody will buy the rights to that. So I hope the budgeting team is listening keenly, because today I'm going to be chipping a lot also into the budgeting part as well. So then, of course, to make that film, you need a team of professionals to come and create that film. And as you will see today, I'll show you how much Angelina Jolie earns in some movies. It depends with which professionals, what is their professional experience. It will range how much they will charge you. And most of the time, whatever you be charged, you cannot be able to pay for everything before you produce. You can always pay for something after you produce. So that's very, very important. Again, you need a team of professionals to come on board to make that film. You cannot make a film by yourself. So this is very, very important thing that you need to also learn in the film distribution process. Okay, then we go to the next point. So you need to bring a team of professionals together to create this film, and then we move and we sit down there, the screenwriter, the producer, the director, the cast, and the entire film crew. You bring them together to make this film. So that's something very important. Then you move. Once the film has been completed, it is sent to the studio or an independent investor who owns the right to the film. So the people who finance the film, and this is something I've been trying to push across when I'm talking to you guys, when I'm seeing you guys not delivering. This is one of the things I was talking to you guys about. Once somebody comes and invests in that film, you've given them the rights to the film, maybe 20% or 30%, and therefore the pressure is on you as a producer to deliver, because you didn't have your own money to finance this film, so you depend on other people to finance that film. So that's quite important, and you need to understand that when that person comes on board, when that person puts in the money, that's the owner of the film. That's why they're called executive producers. Okay, so this is very, very key area you need to understand. And when you understand that, then you understand the excellence with which you work when you owe somebody something. Okay, so that's very important. Then the next thing is number 6. A licensing agreement is then made between the studio, independent investor, and a suitable distribution company. So mostly, even before you make the film, you have to know how you're going to distribute that film and start making an agreement. Like in our case, in our feature film, we already have a sales agent who is putting us in touch with different distributors from different, parts. Also, in our class, we also have a leverage because we have people from different countries, and we are planning in the theatrical premiere stage to also maximize on all those countries that have been involved in this process. So you don't start talking to these people when you shoot and edit. You talk to these people before. So you need a licensing agreement where you're the producer. So who is your investor? What agreement are you giving them? And then what's the distribution company that is going to market for you? Which regions are you looking at? So you have to have all this in your mind even before you start shooting, because there's no need of shooting something that you can't be able to sell. So film is business. So film is a product. So you need to be making it knowing that I'm making this and I'm going to sell it. So this is quite important. So we move to the next slide, where you get to see about something called vertical integration. For instance, in this presentation, you see that distribution companies can decide to come together, and you can see in the case of Disney Studios, these are the companies they work with to be able to make sure that the film makes money and the film is able to bring back the profits that they envision to make during their production. So again, companies can come together. Companies, as many as possible, can come together to make a production a success. So don't be very rigid and refuse to get partnerships from other people, because you're going to fail in the distribution stage, which is very important. Then number 7, Okay, it is then up to the distribution company to decide the quantity of copies of the film to create. Also, they decide where to exhibit the film. So the distribution company will come to you as a producer, they'll buy your rights, and you'll give them rights. Maybe you give them lifetime rights, or you give them rights for a particular number of years to sell your film. It's up to them to decide where are they going to show these films to make their money back. And the good thing, once you get a distributor, most of the time they will pay you in advance. Sometimes they'll say, let me distribute, I'll take my commission, and as we continue distributing, I'll be giving you this amount of money, this percentage. Again, one key thing that my sales agent advised me about even distributing our feature film is making sure that you know the percentage and all the cost that the distribution company is going to take, just in case you're going to be working with them. This is very important because sometimes they lie to you. For instance, I'll give a good example. Some of these VOD platforms will tell you, okay, we'll take 40%, you take 60%. You understand? And then we'll help you distribute your movie. We'll help you get viewership for your movie. And then when people watch your movie, we are going to calculate and pay you. But actually, you realize that you don't have the right to go to their website, back page of their website, and be able to see actually how many people really watched your film, and be able to really calculate the revenue. Even in YouTube is the same case. So you receive what they give you, and that's where some finances are also lost when you make the wrong decisions of where to distribute your film. So this is very, very important. Then the other thing that we need to look at is the distribution companies present. So they present and show the movie to possible buyers that represent the cinemas. So it's their work to deal with the cinemas. It's not your work. So once you already know these are the distributors I'm working with in this region, like for instance, like in Africa, we don't have many distributors who work in Africa in terms of theater. That's why you find many African filmmakers opting to take that right to distribute in the continent and then give out the rights to distribute in other places. So again, that would be a great thing to do. But we have companies like My Movies Africa, which are both distributors and exhibitors. Netflix, Amazon, they double up as distributors and exhibitors. But most of the time, the distribution company will present, they will pitch different buyers that will then go and exhibit the content that you've shown at an agreement again, which they'll be sharing revenue. So you find in this whole value chain, it's like farming or agriculture. You might find that you're making 10 shillings out of 100 shillings because of all the people involved in the distribution process. Again, you need to be very keen in the way you negotiate with these people, so that you end up making lots and lots of money. Then also the buyers representing the cinemas negotiate with the distributors about the terms and conditions of the lease and which films they like to buy. So when we talk about film markets, this is what happens in film markets. So there's buyers and sellers. Sellers are normally the distributors or the marketers who you've given your work, the sales agent. So they go to film festivals around the world, they go to film markets around the world, trying to find buyers who can buy the content and screen it in different places within a particular terms and conditions. And if you have any question, feel free to ask as we are moving on. I have 4 presentations to make, so I'm going quite fast, but I hope you're getting it. If you need me to slow down, I can slow down. Also, in the past, cinemas used to receive the printed copies of the film, a few days before they are shown. Now they receive some copies, like some DCA copies of the film, and they also receive sound in particular formats, depending whether it's a VOD platform or not a VOD platform. Again, that's something very important to note. Again, this is once the film is done. And once you give out your distribution rights as a filmmaker, the only thing you'll do is show up to promote the film, not to make cash from the film, because you've already given rights to that. you've been given your money. So now you need to show up as a producer, as a director, and the actors. So that should be factored in your cost. You need to show up to film festivals. You need to show up to theater premieres across different continents. Just show up, talk intellectually about the movie, but you have no right to sell that movie once you've given that right away. So the film is then shown in the cinema for a number of weeks, and people buy tickets to go and watch it. And this can be in different regions. And I would suggest that you try to look for regions like Europe, America, where people can also go in their numbers to watch theaters. And we're going to be talking about to watch screenings, and we're going to be talking why that is important. Because you find, like in the US alone, the population is a lot. It's a lot more, actually, almost the population of the entire African continent. And this is what we're talking about. Again, how many people go to watch film in the theater in Africa as opposed to other regions? So you need to look at that. Again, you're looking at film as a business. So if people are going to tell you, hey, you're taking your film to the world, you're not proudly African, they need to understand it's nothing personal. This is business. And in business, you just have to look out for your best interest, and that's what will serve you best. So it will be important. Again, you need to make sure that your film is being watched by as many people as possible. Okay, so that is something very important. So I can say, Michael, you're asking, so since we are only using the feature film as a commercial, does that mean we can't make any money off the short film? Yeah, the short film, we are using it for festivals. Very hard to make money from a short film, because if we have to make that money, then we have to spend money distributing it, and it's not going to make sense. We are going to market the feature film for business. The short film is for festivals, for branding, for getting the word out there about each and every student in YFP Africa and their talent and all that. Nina, you're saying I have a question. How many percent are agents likely to request for? Yeah, that's a very good question. So it depends with the territory. Like in Africa, most of the time I see them asking even up to 22 to 30% per sale, and that's a lot, considering the amount of budget used to make this film. And some can even ask for up to 40%. I've seen some sales agent taking up to 40%, including the money they're paying the theaters and all that, and you take 60%. And I've seen, even in some cases, like a VOD platform in Kenya called Viusasa was telling filmmakers to take 40%, and they take 60% because they claim they are marketing the film and they are making you more famous. They'll give you all kind of shenanigans. So you need to be very, very careful with this. Please note that we need to make sure that the distribution deal you're making does not honestly affect you. It works for you instead of affecting you or making it look unfair on your side, what you're doing. Now, let's move down the presentation. So let me just go to the next presentation and just kind of get this cemented, and then I'll go to the deeper presentations about film distribution. Again, I picked out a few presentations that I've seen that are great and have great filmmaking information to begin with. This one is a case study of the British film industry. And I just wanted to use it, and I'll also show you a case study of the Bollywood film industry and how they distribute their films, because this is very important for you to also understand how are other industries doing it. I'm sure you all know that the UK's film industry is one of the biggest film industries also in the world, following the United States and France. They make very good money out of film. And so instead of always looking at Hollywood, I thought we could also look at a case example of of what used to happen in British and what happens now, and how they got money for distribution and all that, so that we are also able to understand different models of distribution. So you can see here that the British industry received boost in funding and in 1990, of course, and that helped boost production. So many countries, especially in Europe, like France, like Britain, even in America, the government has some funding which filmmakers can access to make films. So you find that money is really, really important, and it helps producers to increase in production, because now we are talking about independent film producers. Okay, so where did that money come from? So of course, there are many films that were funded did not get distribution, and therefore they did not get exhibited. So the money came from the government. It was given to these independent filmmakers, and they were not able to make any business out of it. So what are the distribution problems that they face, in Britain? First, you look, they lacked a distribution network. So that is one of the problems that caused all these films. The government comes and funds films, or even other people, individual people come and fund films, but the films are not selling. Okay, and it's because of lack of a distribution network controlled by British film companies. And so mostly in that time around the 90s, the people who controlled the British industry were actually most of people from American companies and all that. So again, when you don't have your own distribution network as a continent, it can really cause a lot of issues for you moving forward. Also, criticism of rotary funded films focused on the lack of time spent in development. So of course, some people have value issues on the film. So we are looking at a case study of Britain, what caused those films that were financed not to sell. And you're seeing again, any criticism that comes towards your film again can be a hindrance to what what causes you not to exhibit your film. And you can see the question: can you think of another period in history of British cinema where poor quality films were produced? That was a time, because when there is no money, in distribution, that means you don't sell the film, nobody will invest in your films later on, and then you'll end up having low quality films, which is the real case scenario we should be identifying with in Africa. And I'm sure most of us agree that we are also in that stage where, as an African continent, we have not been investing much in terms of having our own distribution network, and that's why we are so poor. We have to rely on the West. Like now, we are talking about screening our film in the West so that we can be able to make something. Really, guys, I think because in YFP Africa, we are creating leaders from across Africa. I think we need to start thinking about venturing into more careers than directing, producing, and all that, because you can never get it wrong from a case study. A case study helps you to see exactly what you're ailing from as an industry. And this is very important. I'm seeing your questions, keep them coming. I'll answer. A film distributor is the link between film producers and exhibitors. We've talked about this. So that's the cinema chain. I hope you note that, or you screenshot that. It's very important. So their aim is to get as many as possible to see the film, and on as many cinema screens as possible. So you don't only want to get a lot of people watching the film from US, you want the film being watched around the world when you're a film distributor. That's the goal. So that's very, very important. So look at this illustration here. So we have the producer, who has a working title. Then we have the distributor. Let's say the distributor is Universal Studios. Okay. Then we have the exhibitors. The exhibitors will be so many, and I'm sure you can see. So depending on each distributor, because some people will work with like 10 to 15 to 20 distributors to get films into different regions, the exhibitors will be so many. And if you're talking like about a cinema like Odeon Cinema, it's around the world. We even had Odeon Cinema in Kenya, but it was later on, they left Kenya, but we had that. If you're talking about cinemas like Sony Pictures, they have cinemas around the world. So again, if you want to get your film, you want it to be, going around. So you contract other exhibitors in different regions and other distributors in different regions, and then that's the chain. So I'm hoping you can see the chain. So you make a film, you find a distributor, then the distributor will find for you the people to exhibit your film, and that will make your work very, very easy. Then we're talking about film distribution. So the distributor markets the films and develops an appropriate advertising plan. So the distributor will not only market your film like to the theaters and exhibitors, they'll also create a great marketing plan so that people can go to the theater, okay, and watch the film. And then they'll negotiate with the exhibitors to come in to screen the film. So you see the importance of a distributor. Also, they will market successfully. They have to target an appropriate target audience. They'll watch the film. So a distributor, just because they are a distributor, will not pick any film that you give to them. They will pick a film that they know they can market. They know that they have people who are interested in screening it and exhibiting it. So the distributor needs to create interest in the film. So this can be easy if there's a clear selling point, such as the star. So for instance, in our film, we have a good star. Also, we're talking about a star in the African space. And also we are talking about our movie being very, very low budget. So we still have a lot of work to do in convincing people about this. We have different scopes, different countries, working with us, but regardless of that, most of them, if they're not known, we don't have a good CV in the industry, still we are going to have to struggle to convince people about our quality and about whether we can deliver. So looking at film distribution, we're looking at distributors employing researchers to track the recognition of the film. So professionally, that's what is done. Also, the UK nowadays now has major distributors affiliated to the Hollywood studios and independent and affiliated distributors. You tend to see most of the distributors who distribute UK content, most of them are in Hollywood. And they come to the UK because the American culture is sort of very much connected because of colonization with the UK, and even the racist and all that will buy that film just because it's from UK and it has good stars and all that. Okay, so of course, even today, since 1930s and 1940s, exhibition was, financially, important part of filmmaking process. Now, because of the link to these studios, we also have distribution dominating, and distribution is very important. I can't overemphasize this. So, okay, so let's look at ourselves as producers, and we want to talk to engage these film distributors. Let me just quickly check. I'm on another window. Let me just check the questions before. So Elias, I can see you asking, how will one know if the money presented by the distributor was the one collected without any deductions? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to ask the questions. You don't just go, be desperate and sign a deal, because the distributors will totally rip you off. I've been in negotiating tables with distributors, and when they tend to sense that you don't know much about the distribution process, they tend to cheat you. So one of the things I would advise, go with your legal advisor. There is IP, intellectual property lawyers in different countries, work with them and go with them to these meetings. Secondly, the other thing you need to do is, if you don't know much about distribution, engage a sales agent to help you negotiate with the distributors. Don't mind paying the sales agent, because like now when I'm engaging with my sales agent, she has already told me how to negotiate, what percentage not to accept, because her day-to-day life is on selling films, so she knows everything about that. So she's like my lawyer, although I still need my lawyer. So I need those two people when I'm making any deal or any contract, because distribution can be quite a tricky business. So that's very important. Then our series and movies the same when it comes to this process of selling rights, and series have their own procedure. Series have a bit of a different procedures because they are considered as TV productions. So you have to study a bit of the TV distribution series, but a movie series will have the same distribution process. A movie series is a series that will premiere in the theater and probably get into Netflix and other distribution platforms. Again, that will have the same procedure as film. So it depends whether it's a TV series or it's a movie series. And if it's a movie series, it takes this. TV, I hate TV. Sorry to say this. Especially in Africa, I think TV distribution is the worst place you go. You go there, you have to be a cartel to be in the, sorry to say this word, but to be in the African, TV space supplying content. It's like you're a cartel. It's like you're a militia. Somebody in the TV stations with all these challenges. And that's why you see not the best content is bought even in African Magic and Maisha Magic East, or wherever it is. It's not about the best content, it's about which producer is more connected and all that. So I prefer the film distribution process, which is a bit open for any independent filmmakers, as long as you have a great story and all that. So for me, I'll go for TV movie distribution anytime. But this is not to say that TV industry is not making money. It's making, but according to my goals, the money in TV is a bit small in Africa. But in abroad, like in America, in the UK, in France, they make some very good cash, courtesy of organizations like CNC, which, like, for instance, forces you to save 10% of every budget of the movie you're going to make, put it into the government, and then when you want to make another series for TV, the government finances you. You see, the government in these countries have policies that are working for their filmmakers. They have tax rebates of up to 30% for their filmmakers. In Africa, we lack both the infrastructure in terms of policy, facilitation, and also we lack a properly exposed, distribution system and network, and also we lack a properly also facilitated sales agent, and just the diversity in terms of film business, in terms of even like to access fashion, you have to do it yourself, even if you're not a fashion design, because we don't have so many people specializing in things like wardrobe. We don't have prop shops where we can just go and pick props and rent them and then get them back. That would be so easy for everybody to do this. So the film industry business in Africa is concentrated more around production of the movie, not more around the business. Not, how many actors in this class right now have agents representing them, finding them jobs, which they're going to audition for. You find some of these things are things that we need to start thinking about in Africa, because if you've got to build the African film industry, you've got to build it holistically. And that's why for me, any day, I'm more inclined towards the business part than the technical part. That is sufficing to say that I've done the creative job, and I realized that there was need for some people to step it up and go into the business part, so that you can facilitate the growth of the industry. And you cannot facilitate the growth of the industry if you do not read, if you do not travel and meet different kinds of people and know different kinds of things. And if you do not even understand how to sell your film to begin with, why are you making films and you cannot be able to sell that film? So you need to understand very clearly how to sell a film. It's just a must do thing that you need to do. So you need to take on the role of a film distributor and create promotional campaign for your new film. So if you want to engage with the distributors, so first you'll have to plan when and where will be the best place for the trailer for your film to appear. That is on TV, cinema, and internet. So you need to have a plan. In short, I don't want to read through the whole presentation, but you need to have a pitch to pitch the distributors. You need to pitch them and tell them, this is my marketing plan. You cannot just say, I don't have a plan, and then you expect the distributor to support you in making your film. That's not going to happen. And that's very, very important and key part that you need to know. So I can see time is far much gone, but I have 2 more presentations to share with you. So let me go to my second last presentation, then I'll end with the biggest presentation. I'm hoping that I can keep time. I'm trying to go so fast. In between, please feel free to ask any questions that you have, and feel free also to comment and also add your voice. This is not a dictatorship kind of class. This is a really interactive class that we are having. So this is very important. We also have to understand that the distribution process has cost. Guys, this process can be very, very expensive. And we need to understand what are the costs that are involved in the distribution process of a film. All right? Oh, just a minute, guys. I need to go back to the right presentation, this one. Why is it doing that? Okay, fine. Okay, distribution and cost. So we're going to first talk about some key terms that are used during distribution. The first one is the production cycle. So we've all been talking about this, you know. We need to understand that in the production cycle, we have 5 stages of film production. So we'll need to look at that, and I'm going to be talking about it shortly. 5 stages of production, and that's a cycle that involves paying people and all that. You have to pay off some writing costs and all that. Then also distribution. Of course, it's an invisible art process, but it's the most important because it's what is getting your work out there. There are also some costs involved in buying story rights, especially when the production you're making is not your own film. Also the screenplay, of course, that is so much creativity that goes in there that it's almost impossible to be able to pay these people their full and worth amount of money. Producers and directors, these are writers of the movie, in short. They really help in that creative process. So it's very hard to pay these guys below the line and be able to afford it. So with that said, now I want to take you through a few of the distribution process. Of course, you can see also in the cast, it depends whether you have major actors who are very experienced. And also, of course, in music, you need to get some rights. You need to buy rights to the music that has been composed for your film. That will help you a lot. So here is the production cycle. So, and I'm going to talk about it with a view to distribution. And this is good. You can take a screenshot of this if you want, because it's very important. So when we talk about the word conglomerate, we are talking about, it's like a company which has so many other companies under it. I hope you're understanding that. The conglomerate is like a coming together of so many other companies to work under a particular company. The film cycle, production cycle, there's always so many companies that come and work under one company. For instance, right now, in this class, we have OKS Media partnering with YFP Africa. We have White Crow Films partnering with YFP Africa. We'll also have Folklore Films partnering with YFP Africa. That means in this production, we are all coming together as a conglomerate. So we have to have an agreement of why are we coming together and what are we going to get out of this for the investment that we are making into this production. I hope you're getting it. Then you see, under that, there is the production company. The production company is the company that is actually making the movie. In this case, the production company is YFP Africa. All right. And then now, after that, my sales agent is going to connect me to a couple of distributors in different regions who are going to help us distribute our film into those regions. So we're going to have, instead of having one distribution company, we might even have 5 distribution companies, because we need to work harder as independent filmmakers. So if you have like 5 distribution companies, what's their work? Their work is to give you their exhibitors. So the exhibitors, they can be movie video shops which are selling a DVD, exhibitors, like theaters, like Netflix, like TVs, whatever. It's not your matter to worry if you already have a distributor. But if you don't have a distributor, remember you have to do all this by yourself, and it's impossible, because you find as a producer you invest in your networking around crew, and also getting distributors. But as a distributor, their networking is around exhibitors and TV sales agents and other agencies that screen their films. So you find a distribution company has better connections to Netflix than me, because I don't spend every day going to Maisha Magic, Africa Magic, trying to look for places to exhibit. So that's not in my network. That's why I need a distributor to bring their network and the investment in their network to do this. My network is much more on production. I can bring people together to make the production, but if the production is not sold, I'll not make another production. So the distribution company brings in the exhibitors. The exhibitors take the movie to the audience. The profit and finance returns that are made, they go back to the conglomerate. They go back to all those people who had a contract together. And when you had me mentioning all the students will get 20% of the sales of our films, that's what I meant. I meant all the students are part of the conglomerate of film production. And I'm hoping that now you're understanding film a bit more when I'm explaining it like this. Again, that's very, very important process. So when you talk about distribution, and we're talking about the invisible art, so it's a process known only to those within the industry. People don't write about distributors. Distributors are not our celebrities, but they're the people who make us survive. So it's unknown. So it's very easy for you to make yourself a distributor, but you're going to definitely face losses at that process of making yourself a distributor who you're not. Okay? So we need producers, and then distribution link the producers to the audience by bringing in their networks. And that's simple as that. So let's talk about independent films. So most of what we are doing is independent films, meaning we don't own studios and we don't have big investors who have put in money in our studio, and we don't have all the infrastructure needed. We don't have a number of sales agents who go out marketing for us. That means we need to work with other people. So independent studios don't do vertical integration. So we don't come together with like another company and another company and another company and say to do a movie, because it's going to be very difficult. Also, we don't have a formal connection between producers, distributors, and exhibitors. So for every film, we collaborate with different people. And collaboration, of course, we need to get major companies on the side, major distribution companies on the side to help us distribute our films, period. And if we can't get that company, it will be very difficult to distribute our films by ourselves unless we are distributors and unless we've invested in that network. So distribution companies, they determine how many copies of film that you have to make. And of course, now that we're in the digital space, there's no need for that. Also, why might this be important? What might be some issues surrounding this? And so we look at the distribution power. So, and I like to read through this. I was reading through it and I found it so amazing. We need to see, distribution is equals to power. And if you don't have a good distributor, you're not going to dominate the film industry in your country. So you need to start identifying these distributors. I don't know whether it was Chimunya who shared a link and we went to a Zoom session where some distributors were talking, and they were talking about exactly the same things that we're talking about right now. And the distributors were saying they are pitting the African, film industry, because we're not investing in the right process. We don't like money. It's like we have a low self-esteem. We don't want to invest in branding ourselves and in making a lot of money that we need to make in the film industry. So just before I go to distribution is equals to power and read those statements, I can see, Nina, you're saying, because I've always wondered why we don't have film villages in African cities. Madam, we need to step it up. Actually, I'm in love with this particular class. Thank you for this, Madam Rachel. I'm just going to request you, Nina, right now, just go and Google Film Village of Kenya. You're going to see that's my project. That's the biggest project I came up with. I even signed a contract with the Kenyan government. And very soon, and one day soon, I'm going to make it a reality, a 300-acre film city. One day, I'm going to make that a reality. It's my biggest dream to build a studio in Africa and create this opportunity for my fellow African friends. And that's why even YFP Africa is a great place, because when I train you guys how to work with this excellence, then, I know I can rely on you. When I talk to you about distribution, you'll understand me. So this will also create a job for all the students in YFP Africa, because I'll rather work with people that I've trained, because in this industry, there's a lot of laxity and a lot of people wanting to just do things the mediocre way, like Alikiba sang in his song, which is unfortunately sad, that people are making a film, they don't even care, they just make small money and they are gratified. We need to start building our systems. Remember, a continent without systems is a continent which is based to fail. If you look at the AU Agenda 2063, it's all about a system. It's about a system that is going to be in place to enhance business and to enhance opportunities for the youth. And once we invest in creating this system, we are going to go far. Once we think about the bigger picture, we'll stop dealing with petty issues and move our industry to the next level. The other thing is, for independent films, can one market on their own to reach a wide audience? That is Alliance. Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, Elias, if you decide to market by yourself, do you have contacts? Have you been building contacts with theaters? Do you know exhibitors in Europe? Do you know buyers of the content? And, do you have the money to travel to all these festivals to go and sell your film? So that's a big question. But there's some companies which have the money. If you make a good film, they can come for it. They can finance themselves to go and screen your film in a festival and sell it. So why not have that collaborative working infrastructure between the different industry players? That collaborative effort is the best. You cannot be what you're not, where you've not built your network. And that's where we fail most of the time. And especially with the young filmmakers, they're very excited to screen their film in a theater, not realizing that they're denying themselves a lot of money because they're trying to do what they're not supposed to do. What are you supposed to do? Get a sales agent, lock up these distributors, let them invest in your film, and let it be their job to take your film across the world. All right? Let it be their job. Let it not be your job to take your film around the world. Let it be their job. And that will be amazing. And that's what I want you to know. Yeah. And I'm happy to see the YouTube link is also working properly. Nena, you've been commenting from there. I'm seeing all your comments. Thank you. Elias, thank you. And looking forward to other questions as I continue with this. I still have one more presentation. So this class will take around another 30 minutes. I'm going to try and move a bit faster, but I'm hoping that this class is giving you some new information that you didn't have about film distribution in general. So films cannot be financed without the help of distributors. They access to capital like spare money in a pot or account. So, of course, why can't films be financed without distributors? Of course, that's one of the questions I've been asked even right now. And just the fact that I told my investors that I have a sales agent, I showed them the portfolio of my sales agent, has given me a lot of mileage in trying to fundraise for the film that we're doing. You need to have a distributor, because if you can't prove how you will sell the film, okay, who will be the exhibitors of your film, then surely who will invest in your film? Nobody will invest, in your film. All right. So this is very, 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 very key area to look at. So it's all about money. It's all about money. That was my first statement that I said when I started this class. If you don't have money and networks, I can promise you, you'll not go anywhere in the film industry. So it's all about money. And when it becomes all about money, then it becomes a business. If you want to make a great film and you don't have money, like you guys have great ideas. You have great ideas. Yeah? Why haven't you made a feature film? Why haven't I made a feature film? Like last year, I didn't make a feature film, because of money. Let's all tell ourselves the truth. It's very hard to make a feature film, especially because we don't have the money. But the problem is we are busy, bragging how best we operate cameras, bragging how best we write, how best we direct, but we don't know how to make money. And the world is laughing at us because they we are verifying some statements that they say about Africa, but to exempt countries like Nigeria, where people realized film is about the money. And if it's about the money, then it becomes like manufacturing, it becomes like any other industry business. You need to, have money to pay for your expenses so that you can have a great film produced. You need to make money and to have money to do that, and to have money, the distribution, company, the financials come together to support you, to make sure you get the money, but you have to prove how you're going to get the money back and give profit to the conglomerate owners. Okay, that is the executive producers, everybody who has a share in the film. Yeah, like now the way we gave you guys 20% share in the film, you're investing your energy in this because you're going to get the 20% share in the film. But if you're going to get this 20% share in the film, it's only when we make the profit. So we have to bring everybody on board and make sure, everybody knows what profit they are going to get out of this. When you imagine about 20%, you see it as a very small fee. But can you imagine today, if we made this film and maybe we made $2 million, can somebody calculate, maybe that is a net profit of $2 million? Can somebody calculate 20% and then try to divide it by the number of students who are in this class who are actually participating? Then you'll see it's a lot of money. So the thing is, if we have a good distribution company, it's possible, because when you sell the movie, like in America, you're selling in dollars. But you have to make a high quality film for you to have that amount of power to sell this film around the world. And that's the concept we have with Femi. When we came together, we decided we want to start making films that can sell on the global space and actually start making profit in the millions of USD, so that every one of us can smile in the pocket and smile in the real time, and say, I made a film that made this amount of money. That's where our focus should be. That's the big picture. Stop thinking about the small picture. Think about the big picture. What if we made a great film? Because you have nothing to lose. You're in this class already. The film is going to be done. Why don't you put your everything into it? Bring all the creativity and all the partnerships you bring. Make sure this movie happens. Then let's all put our heads together, invest, and make sure this movie goes viral around the world. As we're talking, there's a Kenyan film called Softie, which is about Boniface Mwangi, a Kenyan human rights activist. It's been screening around the world. I will not be surprised to see that film making $1 million. It will not be, a big deal. It's about, do you have a good product? Have you shot it in the highest standards possible? Have you been creative and original? Do you have content that Hollywood is looking for, that Americans are looking for, that everybody else has not seen before? That's the secret. Then the distribution company will also come on board. When they see your concept, they see your professionalism, they also come on board, because they will be part of that conglomerate that will be reaping out of the money that you make, out of that film. And they are very profit-driven people who come there. They don't care about other things. They care about making their money back and making some profit. So when we talk about not having money to make a film, we are lying to ourselves. Money is there. People will always invest when they see you're professional, they see you're reliable, and they see that their money is not going to get lost. Okay, so guys, here are the figures. So, how much to make Spider-Man 2? Okay, so let's look at it. Story rights, screenplay, producers, director, cast, production cost, visual effects, music composer. So let me show you the costs. Here it is. Story rights. 20 million USD was paid for story rights for Spider-Man 2. Screenplay, 10 million USD was paid for the screenplay. I hope you guys are getting it. Producers, 15 million USD was paid to the producers. Director, 10 million USD was paid to the director. You can see a director is a very important person in a production. Cast, the big cast. You can see there's a cast. Tobey Maguire paid 17 million. Kirsten Dunst paid $7 million, and Alfred Molina 3 million. And the rest of the cast were irrelevant. And this is the importance of building your brand. The rest of the cast of Spider-Man 2 all together were paid 3 million, while one actor is being paid 17 million. So don't come and tell me, Rachel, why am I not being paid well because I'm the lead actor? If you don't have a brand, my friend, and you're not helping me to sell the film, I'll pay you the least amount of money. That's just it. You need to invest in your brand. In film industry, you need to earn this money. So the production costs of the entire Spider-Man, I just want you to compare something. The money paid to the big people, that is the writers, screenplay, producers, director, and cast, is actually more than the production cost, if you can see that. Okay, so that's why you have to negotiate with some of these people above the line when you're making your film, because it's impossible to pay them during production. You're not going to be able to raise that amount of money, and that's why they come in and give in their all. You tell them, I'll pay you this below the line, and then this I'll pay you after distribution. So production costs 45 million for Spider-Man 2, and visual effects 65 million. So that movie, because it was kind of dependent highly on visual effects, they invested so much in that department. And you can see music is not cheap. The composer was paid 2 million, and the entire music was also paid $5 million. We're talking about a budget of $200 million. This is the competition that we're facing from the studios. So let's look at also Unbreakable costs. Okay, so this is another movie, Unbreakable. Story rights and screenplay, $5 million. Producers, $1.8 million. Director, $5 million. Cast, $31 million. So Bruce Willis was paid $20 million. Samuel L. Jackson was paid $7 million. Robin Wright Penn was paid $2.5 million. Rest of the cast, casting, stunt, and travel were all paid together, $5 million. So you see, if you have 2 or 3 good actors in your film, you can always cast others as beginners and all that and pay them cheaper. And this is the trend. And there's no better place for us to learn than to learn from a studio which knows how to do business. This is what they do every day. Again, you see production costs were 26 million. Visual effects in that movie were not much. It was like $1 million. But music, again, you see is being given a lot of priority. It's $2 million. Again, that budget was 73 million USD. We're talking about a budget of 35,000 USD, my friends. So that's why I was telling you, when you're doing the budget, our budget is not really 35,000 USD. It's more, because some things are very valuable and it depends who did them. For instance, if I pay one of the best writers in Hollywood to write my film, then I'll have to pay them like 20 million USD. But if I'm paying a student to write a screenplay, then again that goes down, because these guys are training and all that. And also, if I pay somebody who doesn't have a movie on screen. So I want to tell you a secret. And this is a secret to the screenwriters of our film. If this film does well, the screenwriter will be able to say, okay, I wrote this film, and in the next film you will write, you'll be paid millions. You'll be paid a lot of money using the example of this film. So we are making you some good cash. But if you don't write a good film, you'll not have a portfolio, because the film will not do well. So you can not go and brag around with it. And that's just it. I have a lot of knowledge to share with you guys. That's why I always say attend these Saturday classes, because I'm just getting started. I have a lot of knowledge to share with you guys. Look at this. So Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life. So these are the costs. Again, story rights and screenplay, $4 million. Producers were paid $4 million. Director was paid $5 million. Angelina Jolie alone was paid $12 million. Extras were paid 250,000 USD. Others, including, Angelina's Park, were paid $5 million. Production costs, set design and construction was 17.8 million, but the total production cost was 67 million USD. Visual effects was 13 million USD. Music was 3.3 million USD. Editing was 3 million, and post-production cost was 1.5 million USD. This is something very, very important. Now, let's look at the Terminator James Cameron masterpieces of work. So let's look at the Terminator, the rise of the machines. So this is Terminator 3. Again, story rights, 19.5 million USD. Screenplay, that is John D. Brancato and Michael Ferris, were paid $1 million. But the whole screenplay, to develop it, it costed $5.2 million. Director was paid $5 million, producers $10 million, cast Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, $29 million, one of the most expensive actors, and you can see there it's written plus 20% gross profits. So every time the film is sold and the whole gross profits, he was given an above the line deal of 20%. And Arnold's Park also 1.5 million. 3.5 million, 5 million for the rest of the principal cast. Extras 450,000 USD. Production cost 58 million USD. Post-production cost 4 million USD. Visual effects 20 million USD. Music 2 million USD. And other costs 33.6 million USD. Total budget 187.3 million USD. These are the budgets that are out there, guys. So when you're making a film, don't start, feeling yourself at the wrong time. Start knowing that, hey, there are people who are somewhere we only aspire to be. And for us to get there, we need to build a system. We need to show people that the film industry is a profitable business, and that there are some professional Africans who will actually, when you can trust them with your money. If we make this film and we make good money for our investors, they'll be asking us, when is the next film? And when is the next film? And this is what we want to start doing in Africa. This is just it. You can't take a shortcut. So mostly, of course, promotion and marketing costs are often higher than production costs. Very hard to get accurate data or, cost projections on that. Promotion budgets usually around 65 million USD in the Hollywood scene. So you can see that. Okay. So other sources of money, it could be DVDs and TV rights and merchandising. And, you just need to to look at ways to make sure that you're able to sell your film. So I hope you're inspired, and I hope you are now understanding the film industry in a very, very different way. I just want to peep in and see, are there any questions so far? Any uh okay, any questions? Or I can move to my last presentation. So we're not going to have the communication class today because you can see I'm very thorough when I do my work. And so there are a lot of things that I needed to show you in this, and I've taken up quite a bit of time. So I'll just finish with film distribution, let you digest that, and then maybe next week we are going to do the film communication, which is also very important. Just a minute, let me put it to size. All right, so let's understand a bit more of the key terms used in film distribution, the legal rights, the box office. We're looking at the film industries, that the British, the Bollywood, the Hollywood, ownership, marketing, synergy, local distribution, exhibition, cinema release, and release dates. So we're going to look at this quite quick and be able to see if we can finalize on this. So we have already defined what is distribution. So everything that happens in between production and exhibition and getting the film to the people, that's what we call the distribution process. So it involves all the deals done to get the film shown, including promotion. So you could even be having a media deal with a TV station. Maybe the media station has given you a media value of like 10 million or 20 million. That is part of your budget. They might have given it for you to you for free, but it's part of the marketing budget, and that means you've been given things in kind. And that's why when you're budgeting, you don't budget in kind. You don't budget and say, I have this, so I'm not going to put it in my budget. Your budget should reflect all the costs that are involved in your production. So involves acquiring legal rights. So you need to acquire legal rights to show a film. So you need the licenses, you need the classification, you need to get copyrights. For the music composed, copyright is an automatic right. So somebody has to give you, transfer that copyright to you. You have to also get the screenplay. Those things, writers are protected by the law and all that. Those are things you need to get through with, and that's why it's very important in the filmmaking process for you to have all things clearly stated in the contract. And that's why I said, even as we make this film, everybody must sign a contract to be a part of this film crew, because we don't want to get into legal issues later when we are going into the production process. And these are some of the things why you need to get all those rights. You need to have all those contracts signed by each and everybody in the production. So distribution is about releasing and sustaining the films in the marketplace. So distribution is not a 1 day or 3 months job. We're talking about some films which have been distributed for over 24 years, like The Godfather. So we're talking even above 50 years actually. And long before we were born, some films had already been released and they're still being distributed. So it's a lifetime process. That's why you need a distributor, because as a producer, you need to keep going on with your work as your film needs to continue selling. It can even sell for 10 years before you break even. And that's why you need to have that plan and to have that team to make your film successful. Also, you need to market and release your film. You need to make distribution files wherever they are for different cinemas. If it's Netflix, they'll give you their standards for VOD platforms. If you're screening in the theater, they will have some minimum requirements, depending whether it's in Europe, whether it's in Kenya, and all that. So that determines which equipment you'll use in making the film as well. So all these things. So if you don't have in mind where you're going to take the film, it will be quite hard. Again, that's something that happens in the distribution process. So film distributors are the key players in the film distribution, and they are big companies which controls much of the industry. So they control how many people will watch your film. So you cannot undermine these companies. And most of them, you don't know them, but the truth is they hold the power to your money. They can make you a billionaire overnight, or you can just continue to sell your small films and make 1 million Kenyan shillings or 2 million Kenyan shillings being satisfied, or you need to go further and start working with film distributors. So film are loaned out to cinemas for a set of time. So that is the distributors' work. So they set the release dates, and the release dates are secured by the exhibitors, maybe theaters, TVs, whatever, a set number of screens and a screen times. That's the work of the distributor to decide on all that. Then ownership. Okay, so vertical or horizontal integration. So let's talk about what is, in terms of vertical integration, what is the level of ownership if you have many companies owning the film. So the three stages are seen as part of the same larger process under the category under the control of one company, that is conglomerate. That's what we are talking about when you have different companies coming together, putting in the budget of the movie and sharing the profits of the movie according to the investment that has been put in. So that is vertical integration, where you have many companies coming together to do that. Then horizontal integration is when the distribution is a collaborative process. So it's not like you have partners who have already come together to finance the movie and to distribute the movie. So it's more of like it's a collaborative process. Different companies have different responsibilities. One company is producing, the other company is distributing, and these mostly, most of the rights are owned by the parent company, the company that pitched the distributors and all that. Again, that depends, with your level of network and exposure. You can decide which way to use. But studios use vertical most of the time. So let's look at production. So you can see the production is owned by the subsidiary company, and then there's a distribution company, and there's a exhibition company, which come in as collaborators, and they get a particular share of the money. And it's normally used so much by the independent filmmakers. So types of distribution. So major US studios, they generally have their distribution offices in all the major territories. When you're talking about the major studios, they make sure they have studios in Africa, they have studios in Europe, they have studios in India, in China, in different places. That's the investment they make. So it makes it easier for them to distribute a film. So independent producer, by contrast, they just have to sell their films to different distributors in each territory. So for us, our work is harder because we just, we are a small thing in the film industry. So we just have to sell to different distributors in the different territories so that we're able to make our money back. And then film distributions in the UK. Just a minute. Oh, hi, Ella. I'm in class. Oh, okay. Need to me a location. I'll come. Okay, thanks. See you. Okay. Okay, so film distributors in the UK, you can see United International Pictures, Warner Brothers, Buena Vista, 20th Century Fox, Sony. So you can see like some of those, there. And you can see that roughly 9 to 10 films seen in the UK are distributed by the above companies. That means only one film out of every 10 films is distributed by other companies. So who are you to go against that way? You need to have that network if you're working in the UK. So what is local distribution? Local distribution is like one country distribution, like where the film was made. That is local distribution. So we can say, like, now we have 7 African countries in this class. Our local distribution is going to be in each of these countries. So that is in the countries. Then now when we start going on a territorial level, again, we need all the territories under the distribution list. You can see there are over 90 territories. Again, we also need to know about cinema, DVD, TV rights, VOD rights, and other rights that can be involved in that process, because that's very, very important. Okay? Just a minute, guys. Oh, hi, Winnie. Hello? Okay, sorry, guys. Um, yeah, so okay, so guys, please help anybody who wants to join to the class. Winnie is trying to call me. I think Winnie is the new student. Can somebody text her so that she can join in, and you can share with her the link. I think she didn't know that we were going on with the class. So a local distributor will conventionally share profit equally with the producer for the theatrical leg, pay back higher royalties for broadcast rights and lower videos for VODs and all that. So look at the differences between the British film versus the American film. Advantages of American film studios compared with the British film. We have American films as some the same advantage with the same language, with the language. American studios have an enormous capital, so they have money at their disposal, so they have money to distribute the film and to build infrastructure. They have studios to make the films and all that, so they have a lot of services. American film companies can afford to take a risk. 1 in 9 films fail at the box office because they have money and they have the trust of investors. Why can they afford 8 films to fail? So this is it. So American film diet for British. So of course we have British film producers periodically experience boom periods. What do you think? And all those things. So this is an assignment that we're going to do later. We're going to focus on later. So cinema release and legal rights. This is very important. Film distribution has its own unique procedures. Of course, that's why I'm insisting that if you want to get into this, you need to get into a quick, big course about film distribution to know about all these unique procedures, like the cinema release procedures. There's quality procedures. Distributors know what quality if Netflix needs, so they'll tell you. They know where your movie can go. If you have a particular actor, they'll be able to advise you and all that. So in the international film business, the rights to screen a film are sold in respect of distinct territories. So again, that is just the work that the film producers do. So I want to skip a bit about that and go, film distributors like the small companies. So what are issues for small distribution companies? They have to compete with the largest distributors for bigger films. Also, being in digital age, of course, new equipments require the dollars, they require the money to invest in the new equipment. Also, every film shown in a cinema is a separate, film projected, at a different cost. And also, major companies can afford to produce far more than the small companies. Of course, small companies often support smaller firms which might aim to educate, so they don't make a lot of money, but enlighten audiences. Also, small company like ours producing a less commercial product cannot afford to produce a lot of prints. So people who want to see more alternative films have to wait until their local independent cinema has the film to be able to screen. We're not even able to screen. We've done the film, people want to watch it, but we're not able to screen. So I'm just trying to look at whether there's anything I've forgotten, which is very important. So yeah, when you're setting up release dates, so what is the main aim of most films? Of course, is to make the highest amount of money from the largest audience at the box office, meaning you're screening this in the theater and you're making this money very quickly during the first few months of the release of the film. Who releases them? Of course, it's distributors. And of course, like in Africa, we don't have distributors associations, but it's the distributors who release the films, who decide the schedules when they'll be released. And of course, best time to release the films is weekends. That starts Friday, Saturday, and Sunday because people have more time for entertainment. during the weekend than the weekdays when they're going to work. So of course you need to market, you need to have promotional campaigns for your film and all that. So that's very important. We've mentioned that so many times. I just want to see whether I've forgotten anything that's important. Yeah, and also you know it's very important to learn what is above the line and what's below the line. I believe this is very important. So above the line means everything that you can pay during distribution after you sell the film. So you need to know what is above the line and you need to know what is below the line, what you need to pay for as you're going forward with the film. Again, in terms of marketing and advertising, that will include trailers, billboards, spin-offs and all that. Below the line, of course, publicity which is not paid for but generates mutual interest, like the media partnership I was talking to you about, an interview with a magazine or newspapers. Such things are very, very important. Marketing and advertising could include things like posters, adverts, trailers for TV, radio, online, films in cinema and all that, preview of parts of the film, that those are called screeners, non-traditional promotion, film premieres, advanced film screenings. So many things that are there in that slide that you can see, even award ceremonies, website, festivals, all this, and pre-orders like what we are doing for our film, asking some people to buy the film before even we go to sell it in the theaters. Again, this is something I'm going to have a meeting next week, maybe on Monday, with the different people from different countries so that we can synergize and see how we can create a pre-ordering campaign where people can actually buy the film before it screens in different countries in Africa. And then we can start planning that process. Again, that's a process and an opportunity for the people in all the countries represented in YFP to get in business with us in distributing this film in these regions. Life of marketing, of course, it's a long life. Marketing can continue even for 5 years, 10 years. Yeah, so it's very important. At least we should not be worried about chemically treated film because we'll be making our film using the digital platform. So I'm trying to see whether there's anything else I've left out. Yeah, I think I've given you most important things because for us, we don't have to get into this debate of, um, you know, um, yeah, so this is important. The exhibitors, like the cinema chains, like in 2004 in the UK, they had these cinemas. So number of screens were 930, 780, 580, 250. So they had like almost, so many screens, like 3,000 to 4,000 screens in the UK. The big question is how many screens do we have in these countries where we want to show? Because the number of screens really determines how much you can sell in a particular territory. So I'm hoping you've started mastering that word, territory, for distribution. That's very important. Yeah, so I think I'm done, guys. I want to welcome questions now. I think that should be good. I'm going to share these presentations with you for much more information that you may need, but I'm practically done. So guys, tell me, what are the questions that you have? What are some of the lessons that you've learned about distribution? Meanwhile, as you do that, let me just check my presentation once again to see that I've not missed one important thing. Also, once you finish this, you can rewatch. So if you missed any part, big part, yeah, these are just case studies like the one I did before. I didn't miss anything. So thank you guys, and I'm done with this class. I'm happy you joined in. So I just want to hear your views, your questions, and your comments. If you're in the studio, you can see Kevin and Bianca in the studio. If you're in the studio, you can type in the chat section your question. And if you're watching live on our Facebook Learning platform, please also quickly just be able to ask your question, so that, or if you don't have a question, you can also say what you've learned so that we can finalize on this class and get ready for the meeting later on. So I'm waiting for you guys. I can see your comments. Keep them coming in. I can see your comments. Yeah, so just keep them coming in. I'm going to go through all of them. Okay, I'm going to read through the comments and then we can end the class. Just feel free to also write what you've learned because of time. And we have a production meeting in the afternoon. I want us to have a lunch break. And Elias, you're saying about the ways of making money through one film, which is okay, I think I can't see clearly about the ways of making money through one film, which one is the best, like for the DVDs, is not efficient because they do crack, and the issue of copyright officers distrusting people. Yeah, there's issues that happen along the distribution cycle. So you have to determine the best distribution for your movie. And that's why I'm insisting that you need to work with a sales agent, because they'll tell you the best way to distribute in a particular territory. They've been studying the territories, and the difference between the rich people and the poor people is that the rich people work with people, they have data. They work informed by data, just like the way countries are working with COVID-19. Their work is informed by data. They know Africa, this is the way we can distribute, and this is the way we cannot distribute. But you as a producer don't know that, so you're trying to do a job of a sales agent. The key is to have a sales agent. Budget for a sales agent, pay them to advise you. Like now, I've been calling my sales agent all the time, trying to get their ideas, and trying to ask them questions about how can we distribute this film in Africa, and they've given me their advice. So that's how you go about it, Elias. Then we go to wait, let me go back. I think I had missed a comment by Ras Michael. Michael, you were saying what happens when a film wins an award? What happens when a film wins an award? Of course, you get recognition, and your film might be seen by some distributors who be interested to make money out of it, and they can consult you. That's why you go to the festival circuit, actually, because distributors are also there. Most festivals have markets, and distributors go to the screening rooms to see the films that have been selected. Of course, that means they're of high quality. They are screened, and in most film festivals, they're not like Kenyan film festivals or African film festivals where the film show for free. Like when you go to Cannes, people pay for money to go to watch your film in a film festival, and you get a share of that. And also you get a chance to meet some of the best business people who would take your film to the next level, and who would also want to work with you in future. Eziel, you're saying, I've learned a lot on film distribution. This class was just phenomenal. Thanks, Ma, for the knowledge. Thank you, and you're welcome. And I hope, I'm happy to hear that, because this should help you, move forward. Let me just get another one. Kevin and Bianca, you can type in the private chat if you have any comment. I can see you in the backstage. Nena, you're saying, well, mine is not really a question per se. It's just that this class now has me thinking about the real bigger picture beyond writing and directing only. I shall explore this territory. So thank you very much, Nina. We hope to see you as one of the distributors of films moving forward, and I'm hoping that everybody has gotten a bit of how to do their job. I knew why to do this class at this time, because it's very, very important. So I didn't know the difference between film distributor and exhibitor. I thought it's the same thing. This lecture has clarified that. Thank you. That's Chimunya. Thank you. And I hope you can use that knowledge to start, leveraging yourself in the Zambian film industry. Roger, you're saying, I've learned how film distribution works, that a film distributor is the link between the producers and the exhibitors. Distribution companies and their conglomerate owners are profit driven. They must be confident about the film. That's true. That's very important. And Crystal, you're saying, I'm putting the comments on the screen. Crystal, you're saying, lesson learned. It's all about the money. Distribution is an invisible art. Films can't be financed without a distributor. Distribution is equals to power. As filmmakers, we need to learn more about the distribution process, build systems that will grow us, expose us to the world, and make serious money. That's very true. And on Facebook, we also had New Generation Youth Club. Emmanuel was following. Thank you. And on YouTube. And Azir, you're saying, can you have more than one distributor for a movie? Yes, I've said several times. Distributors for independent films can be from different territories. So you can even have 10 distributors, depending on how many territories you're targeting and what's the focus area of the network of your distributor. So you can work with as many distributors as possible, sign a contract that is flexible, and sign territorial contracts with different distributors. That's the way the US people do their distribution, and that's why their movies, we keep watching them even in Kenya and in Africa, and we wonder how do they get their movies to us. Chimunya, you're saying there is need for more distribution for our African films. Most of our films only end up only showing in the cinemas of our home countries and don't cross borders. So YFP is bringing, definitely breaking this gap, and that's what we need. Thank you very much. I'm happy that you enjoyed the class. Maybe, I can see Kevin and Bianca maybe don't have any comments. So thank you guys. I have really enjoyed facilitating this class. This is the class I wanted to do last Saturday, and I'm happy that you've enjoyed the class, and you've learned something new, and that you see the importance of having these classes. These classes are bigger because they help you achieve bigger dreams and have that bigger picture that you need to have, as now you're graduating from YFP and you'll be on your own and you need to make films. And also, I think one key lesson you must have taken from this class is the issue of networking, which is very important. The issue of things like scripts and music, copyright, which are very important. You've gotten to see the value in real sense of each of these departments, and being a HOD, being a producer is a valuable thing, and you're a boss. You make a lot of money in the film. Being a director, you make a lot of money in the film. I'm sure now you have the big picture, and I'm hoping that one day, if you're an actor, you're a producer, you're a director, you reach that space where you can be paid 20 million USD for your role in a movie, for acting in a movie, and that when the film has your name on it, the film will sell because of you. So because of that, people will pay you millions to just appear in their movies. That's the kind of excellence that we need to start bringing out in Africa, and that's the vision that I have for Africa, and that's where I'm focused on, and that's why Youth Film Platform is also focused on the same. So thank you very much. Enjoy your lunch. Bon appetit. Until next Saturday when we do the film communication class, stay safe. And also in the afternoon, we are going to meet on another ground where it's not a masterclass. It's more about our production meeting. Thank you very much. And Bianca, I'm going to call you after this. I want you to help me out also in the afternoon class in some things. So thank you very much, guys, and have a good afternoon. Bye-bye. I'm ending the broadcast now.